Good morning, everybody. I hope we are having an awesome day. It's gorgeous here in the metro Atlanta area. We are in the middle of false fall. So, yeah, woke up this morning and it was gorgeous. Woke up yesterday morning and it was gorgeous. And I'm just like, yeah, it's August, which means these morning temperatures in the mid 60s are completely not normal. So I'm expecting us to get back in another heat wave soon. But I will tell you, it's been wonderful the past couple mornings taking Riley around for her walk and not sweating up a storm because, yeah, it's normally ridiculous. Yeah, in fact, my air conditioner hasn't had to work so hard, which is going to be nice on my electric bill. In the chat, good morning. I see Steven of the Idiot Quilter. How you doing, Steven? I just wanted to let you know it's like, 20 degrees Celsius or 69 Fahrenheit, so you decide which one sounds more fun. Good morning, Barb, who is on time for once. You're always on time. I did get an email from Barb this morning. She is planning on making the Downton Tabby quilt. She is ordering it from my local quilt shop. They do ship, so it is exciting that I hear that somebody else is going to be making it. I'm going to be heading to the shop after the live a little bit just to say, hey, I want to see my quilt hanging up there and see if I can get a couple pictures snapped of it. Good morning, Josie, who says hi, Russ, and everyone in chat. Good morning, Karen and Charlotte. And good morning, Nellie. Steven says the temp sounds good to me. Oh, yeah, it's been nice, and like I said, mornings have been wonderful. I think the humidity has been halfway decent too, so that has been making it a little bit better. And good morning, Kathleen, who says good morning, fellow quilters and Russ. So today I am working on part 2 of Stephanie's pattern Rock Candy. The first part, I made all of the 9 patches that you see here. And they are in a pile right here. So I will just quickly show a couple of colorways. I've got this combination of colors, and here's the greens, which are looking a little bit different in the camera. I really got to figure out how to get my camera adjusted. And then like yellows, which looks normal. So I don't know what's going on with my camera. I will figure it out one year. uh, and then, I love the brights that are happening here. So I've got, like I said, it's a whole pile. And hopefully I will be able to get the 9 patches, or not 9 patches, hourglasses done today. And when I get the hourglasses done, I will have all the blocks ready to start putting it together. We had Brian come in. Good morning, Brian. And good morning, Jody. Joy-T. Barb says she's excited about that. Good morning, Stephanie, who is saying that my hair looks good today. I'm starting to threaten to dye my hair. I just haven't found a good dye. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with my hair. So, as you see, the 9 patches have like a star and moon pattern. And originally, I was going to do grunge paper white and grunge, one of the blacks, I forget which blacks, it may have been onyx, for the um, hourglasses. But when I got into the quilt shop either last weekend or the weekend before, I saw this gorgeous color on black and a matching white on white, which you may not be able to see the pattern in there. Oh yeah, you kind of can. So that is what I am going to be doing the hourglasses with. The pattern says to do the hourglasses one way, and Stephanie writes perfect patterns. They are well written, and it is a great way to do these hourglasses. But my skills are not perfect. So the method that Stephanie suggests is not a method that works well with my skill level. She makes you do half square triangles and then pair the half square triangles together to get the hourglasses, which I have done in the past and I will probably do again in the future. But I prefer to cut my cut the squares in quarters. So basically, this was the flat edge of the square, and I just cut it in half and in half on both diagonals. And then when I do that, I can take two pieces, line them up together, and sew along the short edge. And as long as I sew along the same short edge on all of them, then I will be able to sew them together in a perfect hourglass. Why do I keep forgetting the word hourglass? So that is the method that I am going to use to do this. Like I said, the way the pattern is written to do half square triangles and face them together and sew half square triangles again, that works for a lot of people. I just always miss the center for whatever reason. And they don't make triangulations, quarter square triangles, in this giant piece. So the third best option is just to cut them into triangles and sew the triangles together. Steven says, do it purple. Do it. Do it. Like I said, I have been pondering the purple. I just haven't quite figured out, one, how to do it, and two, what shade of purple. Good morning, Colleen and Jen. Jen likes the idea of royal blue hair. Good morning, Jeannie. I have thought about blue, but I've had friends who have done blue hair, and it worked for them, but I don't know if blue would work for me. Because with blonde hair, unless you properly bleach it all the way out, if you put blue in, it can turn green. And I have friends who have green hair. My friend Andy of Sewing Doc, I love her green hair. But again, green hair is probably not me. I don't think I have the skin tone for it. So let's move over to the sewing machine. I've got my two piles, and it doesn't really matter for me if I do dark on the right, light on the left, or if I did it the other way around, because I'm going to treat this like a 4-patch and spin the seams, because, you know, Russ likes to spin his seams. So I'm just going to start with the pile, and I'm going to do it this way just because that's what works for me. And like I said, grabbing two, make sure they line up together on the same edge. And sew along it. Kathleen says blue hair only worked for old women 40 years ago. Is that why Marge Simpson has blue hair? Are you calling Marge Simpson old? And from 40 years ago, I don't think I actually knew any women who actually dyed their hair blue. I always thought when they said blue haired women that it was just the like the gray gives that illusion of blue or something in certain lighting. In fact, I think the only person that I ever recall from my childhood dyeing their hair a non natural color was Lucy from I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball, with her henna rinse. Stephanie says, do the purple," and she's not old. I know you're not old. It was Kathleen who said back 40 years ago, uh, old people had blue hair, and that's why I was like, I didn't think it was actually like really dyed blue. I thought it was something with the way the gray went or something. But she's saying they really dyed it, or they really colored it. I must not have lived in the cool part of the country 40 years ago. I mean, granted, I was knee high to a grasshopper, and the parents really didn't hang out with old people. I think the only old person that I knew was, my grandmother and the grandma who lived next door, who we call grandmama. Good morning, Janice. Jen loved her dark blue, but now will defer to her granddaughter who thinks she needs to go scarlet. Ooh, scarlet sounds fun. Not for me. I will say that I really do enjoy watching, like looking at people, or not looking, seeing hair that is, I guess they're called fashion colors. I mean, anybody my age can put just for men in their hair, but like not anybody can, pull off blue or purple or green. It's just I've always worked for fairly, I would just say fairly conservative managers who would get a little, I'll get weird looks if I ended up dyeing my hair an off color. Benita says, leave my hair alone. The color is beautiful. I did quit dyeing my hair during the pandemic because why was I, you know, dyeing my hair if I was the only one seeing it? And it was just basically a just for men shade that just covered the gray. It's very close to my natural shade. When I was playing Pokemon Go, I had this. Basically, it's like a pomade or hair product to um, style your hair, and it came in multiple colors. So I would color, and I'm using color. I would use the styling color that corresponded maybe with the shiny of the event. So I had a purple, I had a blue, I had a gold, which looked really bad. I had an orange. I think I had a red too. And just going through them, it was fun, and uh, it washed out immediately. So it was just basically, I guess they called it like a styling clay or something. So I do know what my hair looks like in that shade of purple, but that was just, it was always a lot of work to um, get the product in the hair. uh, I believe the name is pronounced Dubraka. Good morning from Ontario, Canada. Kathleen says, if I die, do die, if I color my hair, to not go my natural color. In her experience, men who color their hair dark look so much older. Like when Bob Barker dyed his hair dark during the before he stopped coloring it. It is one of those things that when younger kids do have lighter colored hair, so if you do go very dark, it does feel older. So that does make sense. Okay, I've got a bunch of these done. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to leave one on the machine just so that I don't have to cut my thread. Brian says he thinks a few purple tips feathered would look good, but he leans towards natural. I was thinking about like the feathered look. I think I just need to find a color first and then talk to the guy who does my hair, because he said that he would put some color in. He just doesn't know anything about the fashion colors. So what I am going to press these is I just want to make sure my thought is correct, because I'm feeling like I want to press these towards the dark. Yep, I do want to press these to the dark, and the reason why is when I fold these on top of each other, if they're pressed to the dark, I will get my nested seam. And that nested seam will lock into place, so as I'm sewing these long seams together, they will lock into place and keep me from losing my center point, which is what I always do when I do it through half square triangles. Well, not always. I generally do. The larger the quarter square, the more chance I have of losing my point. And I do not call it cheating. I call it using the tools I have available to me. So what is everybody working on? Anything exciting? Any awesome weekend plans? As I mentioned, after this, I need to get up to my local shop. I want to get a good picture of my quilt hanging wherever they have it hanging. They do have a picture of it on their website, on their website, and also they are selling kits of it. I have a link in my vlog from Sunday if you're interested in buying the Downton Tabby quilt kit from that shop. They do ship, so it's awesome. But it'll be really cool to be able to see my quilt just hanging up there saying, hey, Russ made this. Got a couple more left to press. I mean, I still got a lot to sew, but I want to get a couple blocks finished so I can see what it's going to look like. The initial plan for today was going to be working on the Fort Worth Fabric Studio for the most part mystery quilt. But week one, as was for the last handful of projects, was just cutting. And it's not exciting just to watch somebody cut on a live. So I said, I'm not cutting on a live. So instead, I'm doing this weekend. And then next Saturday, I will be sewing with John of Guys Craft 2. We are doing a 2-day collab on Saturday on my channel. We will be working on the first half of the quilt. The quilt pattern is Tibet from Villa Rosa. And then Sunday we will work on his channel, the other half of the pattern, and hopefully get it done, which means for the most part week 2 of sewing will probably be on Monday, Labor Day, just so that I can not fall behind. I do not want to fall behind. Stephanie says next week will be more exciting. There's a lot of pieces in next week. So what I'm doing is, now that I have them side by side, I'm just going to, again, put them together, aim towards the center first, line those up, and then I can line the edges up. These are all biased, so I am being very, very careful not to stretch anything. and try to keep it as lined up as possible and just go to town. Jeannie is working on Kendall Taylor's quilt along. Jen is binding a Halloween quilt and running to the store for wildflower quilt sashing. Oh. Come on, pieces. Line up. This white is a little grippy, which is really nice so that things don't move, but it's really horrible because things don't move. It was kind of amusing when they were opening up the bolt of this white. You can just hear it unwrapping from itself. Janice is about 98% finished hand quilting a memory quilt, Kyle's Rainbows, in honor of her 6-year-old niece who passed with brain cancer this year. I'm sorry, or Kyla, not Kyle, Kyla's Rainbows. I'm sorry to hear she passed away. I also had a friend pass from brain cancer this year. He was significantly older than 6. And it's his t-shirt quilt I need to start cutting out. I have a lot of cutting that I need to do over the next couple weeks. And then we did get news about my niece the other day. She is not going to be able to graduate in May. She does not want an F in clinical on her transcript. So she's just going to, for lack of a better phrase, wait it out. Instead, I guess she was currently minoring in psych, so she's going to do a double major. Because she's like, if I have to stay in for another year, I might as well just do a double. She probably only need to stay in for another semester, but you know, it gives her that extra push to do the double major. So I'm excited for her. I'm mildly annoyed that I have to go to Massachusetts 2 years in a row. But, it's worth it for both reasons why I have to go up there, because this May will be my sister's graduation. She is finishing her classes in December, but she's doing they only do one graduation a year, so she's graduating with everybody in May. And then however my niece handles her next semester or next year, if she's going to finish in December as well, or if she's going to work on her stuff to graduate in, or to finish her classes in May. Whatever it is, she'll get it done. It also cuts the number of quilts I need to have finished down a little bit, but that doesn't help too much. So now that I have them done, they open up to a beautiful hourglass block. And because of how I pieced it, and I think you can still do this if you do it traditional half square triangles as long as you're not pressing open, I can pinwheel my seams in the center. Good morning, John of Guyscraft 2. How are you? I was just telling everybody about our collab that we are doing next week. So when it's done, I have a perfect point in the center and a gorgeous hourglass, whichever way you want to do it. The back has a seam spun, and all I have to do is trim this up to the size that it needs to be. And it's only a little bit of trimming, just looking at the sizes on my sewing machine. So there's not a lot of trimming that needs to happen. And the way that I'm going to end up trimming them probably is I have a larger than this ruler, and I will do it on my big cutting mat in the back. So now that I have one block done, I can chain sew the rest. Actually, before I do that, I want to kind of see what it's going to look like. So we have the hourglass block here, and one of the 9 patches. That looks so much fun. Or if it's the direction that this side of the hourglass does, I think it's going to be gorgeous. And Stephanie looks like she approves as well. So yeah, when I trim down these hourglass blocks, they will match exactly the size of this block. And when I have them done, I will be able to what's the phrase? Put them together. Stephanie loves the fabrics. I believe the fabric line is called Celestial, and it's from Wyndham Fabrics. I did see some selvage when I was cutting yesterday. Not sure how old the fabric line is, because you know when you get something in a quilt shop, you don't know if that is, you know, extremely new or if it's been around for 6 months or a year. A lot of quilt shops, they'll cycle things in and out, but they had probably every color in the line. So I know I bought it when it first came out a few months ago, but I was kind of surprised that they still had all the colors. But they're all reads as solids, so I guess that's probably why it's still around. I still need to figure out when I am getting the picture with my co-workers to make the label for this. One of my coworkers had a surgery a week and a half ago, and he came in Monday because it's basically, well, the way that it was interpreted by him, and it's been interpreted by a lot of us the same way. Getting a badge swipe for the company is more important than health. So he came in, he worked from home the rest of last week, and then he came into the office on Monday. And when he came in, I was like, it took every bit of energy for you to get here. Why are you here? And he said, badge swipes are apparently more important. And he thought that he can do it. Uh, he public transits, which tells me no, he shouldn't have been doing it. And when it was like right before lunch, he realized that he was bleeding where he hadn't been bleeding after the last couple days from the surgical area. So he called his wife to come pick him up. And I told him he's not allowed to come back into the office until at least September. So hopefully he listens to me because, I've decided I trump our management because I feel like his health is more important than badge swipes. Our managers should be able to explain he's doing his work. He is not missing out in anything, and he is recovering, because the other option is he just completely takes sick days, meaning you get no productivity out of him. So when he gets back sometime in September, we will get our pictures done, and then I will figure out how to print it on Spoonflower and have the label made up. I don't need this done until December, but obviously when it's done earlier, the better. Good morning, Vera from Texas. And good morning, the confident quilter, Gladys, who says hello, everyone. Oh no. Joydy is lurking because she's sick with that word. Trying to keep up with the channels, but looking forward to the sew along. Make sure you keep your health first. Sew alongs can wait. That C word is not the fun. I think yeah, looking at my time hop, it was like a year ago today that I was no longer testing positive for it. But I still had lingering effects for like 3 months. And sometimes I wonder how much of that would have been lessened if I didn't have to go into the office while I was still having those lingering effects. Just because, the company decided badge swipes were important. They are even paying somebody to audit your badge swipes. Like, there's all these news articles that are talking about how much money our CEO is wasting on this and this and this and this. Nobody's talking about how much money he's wasting on his return to office shenanigans. But yeah, Joy, I hope you feel better. Just keep yourself rested, hydrated. Cough drops, those helped a lot. Fresh air works pretty well too, if you are okay with, stepping outside away from people. I did have to, walk Riley multiple times a day while I was under the weather last year. I'm going to press these open. I think I've decided for my show and tell this month or next month at Saturday Sampler, I'm going to try to get my As the Crow Flies quilt up on the long arm. Because, I have so many quilts that need to be quilted. I think I just need to start doing, one evening I get the quilt loaded, the next evening I get the quilt quilted. And then I can start getting a pile of stuff that needs binding. At least binding only takes like a day. Getting the binding strips made and cut. And then sewn. Because I've gotten to the point where I'm just doing machine binding. Unless it's like a super important big quilt. And frankly, the graduation quilts, as super important as they are, they may not get hand binding. And if anybody complains their binding isn't hand done, they will never get another quilt again. John says, we need a weekend retreat of churning out long arm work. The two problems I have with long arm is getting the time to get it loaded and remembering to check the bobbin when I think it's almost out. Because I will go and when I'm like, oh, I still have a bit of bobbin, and I'll go a certain number of rows and I'll check it. And I said, oh, look, I'm good. And then I was like, oh, I got to remember to check the next row. And then I'll forget to check. And then that's when I run out of bobbin. Kathleen says she saw my show and tell on the store's website. Very nice. Thank you. Good morning, Donnell. Joydy says she thought she was going to perish, drinking lots of water and finally starting to eat. I never lost my appetite. I lost the sense of smell, but I was always like, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. But be careful in crowds, please. Yes, be careful in crowds. It seems like travel is still the biggest spreader of it. Donnell says she's getting ready to head out to see her mom, but wanted to stop in and give a thumbs up and say hi to everyone. Well, tell your mom we said hi. In fact, you can just, decide when you get to her house, pull up this video, come to this moment in time, and let her see when we all say, "Hi, Mom! Hi, Donnell's mom! How you doing?" She'll think we're insane, and it's true. I really like big blocks. They go together so quickly. See, everyone's saying hi, Donnell's mom. Gotta support the parents. Or over here, I can do. Trimming these blocks is going to be the long part. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 21, 28 blocks. And it's only a couple seams per block, or a couple trims per block, but it's still. Trimming blocks to the same size always seems to take the longest. But once they're done, I can lay them out, put them into rows, columns, and say this quilt top is done. I had my one-on-one with my boss on Thursday, and we all know she wants to go back to South Carolina and like have a lake house or something. And she goes, "Yeah, the lake house is seeming a little bit further and further away because they're expensive and um like they're teeny tiny houses, and she doesn't really like that. They all need work, so she doesn't really want to compromise. So it sounds like they are building a house that is lakeside adjacent, so they don't have to compromise on the indoors, but they'll still be close enough that they want to go to the lake, they can. uh, I see them going to the beach more because she loves going to the beach. But I am excited for her. She did say that she's like, we don't know what the group's going to look like after I'm gone. She has a little bit of say, and she's, giving her thoughts. But, obviously, with her being gone in a little bit, her thoughts are meaningless on the people who make their decisions. And my response is whatever happens, happens. I can't control company decisions. I can show everybody how awesome I am. And if they decide they don't want me anymore, I can show other companies how awesome I am. I can't stress over the unknown. And she's also said that if I need her as a reference, that I'm welcome to. And, she's awesome, so I will use her as a reference if I need to. I know I am going to run out of bobbin at some point, but I don't care. I'm running out of bobbin a lot lately. And during my vlog this past week, I had made a comment that folks were asking for more Zoom sew days. My friend Steven of the Idiot Quilter, he does a Zoom sew day every Wednesday with Stephanie of Quilting with Stephanie Stitches. And then he does his pop-up sew days every 3 to 4 weeks. It seems is the average. Sometimes they're even closer. The next one he is going to have is Labor Day weekend of August 31st, if I remember correctly. But his pop-ups and regular schedule sew days apparently aren't enough for some people. I just lost my upper thread. So people have started asking, hey, Russ, you have a Zoom license and you're not doing a whole lot with it. Would you like to do sew days as well? And I'm like, that could be fun. I don't want to take away, any of Steven's awesomeness because he does great sew days. So definitely not going to take away his sew days. If I did them, they would be on days that obviously aren't his. Saturdays are my day for running around anyway. So they'd probably be Sundays that I would do any sew days or any random weekdays that I may have off. But I haven't thought of a good name for them. And the suggestions that I've gotten have been including the word Sunday. And I'm like, I do not like the word Sunday because if I want to do it on a Tuesday, I can't use the word Sunday. So if I can come up with a name for it, and I'm taking suggestions, then I will be happy to make some Zoom so days. Steven says there's plenty of room for me to do so days. I also know that there's other content creators out there um, that have their own so days, and I know Sean of the Guy Who Sews. He has a Discord group that he does, and they have a video sew room in Discord that is open all the time, and people can come and go as they wish. It doesn't require any setup except you have to have Discord installed. But it will, um, like, like Sean doesn't have to go open it up, is what I'm saying. It's open all the time. There's usually people in there, so I've joined that sew room a couple times. But I also know folks are like, I do not want to install more software. Like they have Zoom because they either use it for work or Steven So Days and stuff. They don't want to have to install a separate piece of software to do other so days. So I get it. I like Karen stitching bitch with Russ. No, I don't want people bitching on my show on my Zoom. But that does sound kind of fun. I still feel like my pile hasn't gotten down that much. I've sewn quite a few of these. But, you know, if there's 28 hourglass units, that means there's 56 half units. So these will be going fine. QMW Soday. The good thing I was able to figure out what QMW stands for. And like I said, if I do start so days and they're going to be on Sundays, not every Sunday, just randomly, it will end up moving my vlog day to another day of the week. Just because I can't vlog and Zoom at the same time. As much as everybody probably wants to know what my vlog is going to be about before it comes out. So we have approached the noon hour. So I think I am going to start to call it quits. Like I said, I've still got a good pile of quarter square triangles to finish sewing together. it's not that many. Like I said, it just feels like more. And I think this was the color that I chose for the border. This nice purple. Her My boss's favorite color is purple, so I'm like, yeah, that would work, and it works. I still with all of the fabrics in here, so I am very excited as I get the quilt worked on more. I don't know if I'm going to end up getting another Elevenses with this. We will see. It will be after the Fort Worth Fabric Studio sew along. And then the first week after that, we are doing month 4 of Bumbleberry Pie. So it sounds like October would be my next chance if I don't get this finished before then. So we will see what it's going to be. But don't forget, next Saturday on Elevenses, which is going to be 11 a.m. Eastern time, I will be on with John of Guys Craft 2. We will be working on the Tibet quilt pattern from Villarosa. John's cutting his fabric now. I've already got all the fabric except for the borders cut, so we will have everything ready by again next week and start sewing that up. I think it's going to be a really awesome sew. And then on Sunday next week, the first, we'll be over on John's channel sewing up the rest of it, trying to get as far as we can between those 2 days. The pattern is very simple, so I have a feeling we'll get pretty far, hopefully, and everything else. And make sure you give all the YouTubers a lot of love this weekend as you are traversing the YouTubes. There's tons of folks going live. I know my friend Stephanie is going live this evening with Steven, and they'll be on an hour earlier than usual, so make sure you set your alarms for that. So, hope you guys have a wonderful day.